No. This is no good. Come on, guys. We're losing focus on the manga. Sorry, it's hard not to bring up the book. You guys think we might be a little too far in to review this objectively? I mean, we finished the book and saw the movie before we finished the manga. I'm sure we're just having writing block. We're kind of professionals. We can figure this out. Hey, remember in the movie? Screw it! Hello, I'm Plutoburns, and welcome to Eagleland. So yeah, this manga is based on a book that we made a review of, which was also turned into a movie that we also made a video about. So, we're not really going to go much into the plot for this review. If you want to know what happens, go watch the book review first. This is going to be a more nuts and bolts, nature of adaptations, and panel layout video.
And now I'm back to interrupt the show every 5 minutes because I have no sense of timing! Second floor, flying UFOs, knockout equipment, unconscious people.
Anyway, so I'm gonna go forward assuming you know the basic plot, but for the lazy people who didn't watch my book review, here's the gist. Aliens invade, we fight them while wearing mech suits, Keiji gets caught in a time loop where every time he dies he goes back one day and gets to try it again. So, basically Groundhog Day mixed with Temple of Doom. I've been handed a correction notice. I was supposed to say Starship Troopers instead of Temple of Doom. I often get those two confused. Now, the manga is a much more literal adaptation than the movie Edge of Tomorrow. But the movie is a surprisingly good adaptation. It changed what needed to be changed and only contained a few extraneous additions. For example, a movie about fighting aliens in mech suits still finds time to put Tom Cruise on a motorcycle.
Card games on motorcycles.
Oh, that'll never get old. So, since the manga is a more faithful adaptation of the book, that must mean I like it more, right? Well, no. I don't like it. That's not to say the manga is bad. It's well drawn, it's got a solid story foundation, and it's got good action. Which puts me in the very awkward position of liking it the least of the 3 versions I've seen. Now, the most important thing to keep in mind for the manga adaptation is that the original author of the book is credited as the author of the manga. And that's good, but it can also be a double-edged sword. Having the original author means that the vision of the original will be maintained, which is good. But that also creates some unfortunate medium transition speed bumps. Now thankfully they made the obvious cuts for this adaptation. They didn't just take the book, cut out all the words, and then paste them in the manga. They excised all the words used to describe things because this is a manga, you can just draw that shit. But there were other things that could have stood to be cut out. In the book, there is a digression into the past of Rita Vartrosky, her father's love of coffee, her family getting killed, and her early service. This is mostly unchanged for the manga. Books can go on past exploring side digressions like that. In a manga, and especially in action manga, this sort of flashback just kills the pacing. Her past military career should have been shortened, and the whole thing with the coffee should have just been removed. Let's look at another adaptation. The Shining by Stephen King features an early digression about the maintenance of the boiler in the basement of the hotel. The Shining by Stanley Kubrick removes this bit. The Shining miniseries by Stephen King does not. Which do you think is better? Let's move on from the writing. The artwork for this manga is mostly fantastic.
But what else would you expect from Obata Takeshi?
The mangaka behind Hikaru no Go? Bakuman? The guy who drew Death Note.
If there's any more stock film of women applauding, I shall clear the court.
Ragga fragga. So, with such a lauded artist behind the pen, it's no wonder that this manga looks amazing. The aliens, though not true to the original work, are otherworldly and creepy. The mech designs are cool, making me wish Obata would make his own mech manga. And, of course, the faces are gloriously expressive, as should be expected from Obata at this point. I really only have one complaint when it comes to the art. The female character designs.
Now, I've been wanting to talk about the overabundance of fan service in manga for a long time, but I just never had a good target. All the other mangas that I talked about that had it were like wacky harem comedies. You're supposed to see that in those mangas. It's the genre. But this is a gritty war drama. You don't see strippers in Saving Private Ryan.
And yeah, I know in the original book that she is described as being more stacked than library books. The sexualization of Potato Girl was in the original text. The devil is in the details. I know she isn't a soldier, but for the sake of Pete Postlethwaite, why is she wearing booty shorts? This isn't the Dukes of Hazzard, it's a military installation. Even if I buy that this is allowed under the dress code, why would you wear it? This is a base for new recruits, fresh from basic. They haven't had female company for a long time. The last thing you want to be doing right now is advertising the fact that you put Pamela Anderson to shame. And we even get some classic spine-wrecking poses.
Try it yourself. Lock your knees and bend your back. This is really uncomfortable. And why would you ever use this pose for anything other than talking down to a group of 9-year-olds who just lit a bag of dog turds on your front step?
We're on the same page here, right? The problem isn't that Potatoes is sexualized. With those boobs and this face, 14-year-olds are gonna drool over her no matter what pants she is wearing. So why put her in ridiculous Daisy Dukes and bend her over like this? That's just gonna alienate people like me who do like looking at women, but hate stupid. And Potatoes isn't the only girl this happens with. There's also Wrench, Rita's mech suit mechanic. Keiji convinces her to build him a battle axe. But she can't just be a tech-minded shy girl. No, she has to be the socially inept, obsessed with her field of study, demure librarian type, who, of course, loses her glasses.
And if you don't think that's sexualization, then I dare you to Google image search Velma with the safety filters off.
One final point I would like to make is panel composition. This is one of those weird complaints that doesn't come up very often. If panel layout is well done, you shouldn't even have to think about it. But when it's bad, it manifests itself in bizarre ways. This page caused me untold confusion when I first read this manga.
Basically, the tiny little panels on the side display Keiji killing a mimic. But the big panel in the center is dominated by Rita just murdering things left and right. Which is cool looking, but ultimately pointless, while Keiji killing the mimic is super important later. And this panel really threw me off, because later the manga makes a callback and is like, do you remember that mimic you killed on the very first loop? And my answer was, no I don't.
And this panel composition problem rears its head at the end of the manga, too. The final fight between Rita and Keiji lost a lot of thematic weight because the key panels were too small.
Now, you might be wondering how that is possible, since we know that Obata is a better artist than that. Well, I saw that there was another person listed as author for this manga, which I thought was odd, because why would you need a second author when you've got the original author? So, with a little bit of digging, I discovered that the artist was Obata, but Takeuchi Ryosuke was the storyboarder. And then it all started to fall into place.
Storyboarding is a common practice of laying out panels, characters, and speech bubbles before actually drawing the artwork. It's used in most drawn and animated mediums, though in manga the storyboard and artist are usually one and the same. But there is definitely something to be said for division of labor.
So, the art is done by Robota, but the layout is done by Takeuchi, whose only other work is a thing called Stars. Now, in fairness to him, I did check out Stars, and it's okay, but even just the little bit that I read, I could see the signs of panel layout composition issues that were present in this manga. So, I guess in this case you've just got Takeuchi being slightly out of his depth.
So what we've got is an interesting and original sci-fi concept, and a manga with some minor annoyances, adaptation issues, and no real new take on the material. And what we end up with is a good manga, but a boring adaptation. There is really no reason to read this over the book other than to see pictures put to words. Even the movie, with its incredibly flawed ending, had its own unique spin on the story that made it feel fresh.
So, hey, if you are going to read the book or see the movie, then the manga is an easy recommendation. It just didn't work for me because I saw the movie and read the book first. Now, you can actually buy the manga if you have a Nook. For some reason, this manga got an exclusive digital release on the Nook. I have no idea how that happened.
Oh, that's smart.
Well, anyway, till next time,
Hey, hold on, I didn't get to interrupt the show today.
Jay, will you please just go away?
Well, sure, Pluto, all you had to do was ask. Where did I park my car?
What the